Hello. Okay, tonight we're going to talk, first we went over the couple of different ways that I do therapy at my business, Phenom Counseling Services. Um, and tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the most popular cases that I might get. I'm going to talk tonight about the 5 most common disorders that I work with on a pretty regular basis. Obviously, there are lots and lots of different mental health disorders and conditions, and I've been trained through my master's program to deal with any of them. Over the years, I've run into quite a few. Of course, we always work out of the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and right now it's called the rendition number 5, which for short is DSM-5, and we use the diagnostic criterias and diagnostic codes that are listed in that most up-to-date book. We'll get more into what that is at a later session. Anyway, getting back to what I was originally saying, I would like to have my audience, possible clients, learn about the different kinds of disorders and conditions that are most common when someone reaches out to someone like me for counseling or mental health therapy. Keep in mind, and this is very important, you may or may not have the symptoms of a particular disorder, but just because you go through some of the symptoms does not mean that you suffer from that particular disorder. And we'll go into that more in detail in a few minutes. Now, I want to just give a general overview of what I'm talking about here. Okay, some of you may be familiar with my little board that I put together here. These are the 5 common disorders: anxiety disorder, depressive disorder, bipolar disorders, PTSD, and personality disorders. Okay, I drew these little pictures here that sort of represent the kind of faces. These little faces sort of represent the emotions or moods that people might be in because they have this disorder. All right, this top one here, okay, whoops, get that set up. This one here, the little face there is, okay, I try to make them look scared, anxious, worried, fearful, because that's what's taking place with anxiety disorders. Depressive disorders, whoop, get that over. Depressive disorders, you have a sad face to represent the sadness and melancholy that comes with being depressed. We have bipolar disorder, and that face sort of, the smile on the face sort of represents how things go with those people. They're up and down. PTSD, I tried to show someone who is extremely anxious and filled with a lot of fear and panic. And then personality disorders, and I put an angry face because a lot of people with personality disorders have a tendency to get angry very quickly. Okay, so let's go over these one at a time, starting with the anxiety disorders. Okay, now there are quite a few listed in the DSM-5, but the ones that I most commonly run into the most would be something called generalized anxiety disorder, which is basically overwhelming feelings of fear, worry, and being afraid and sad and not sad necessarily, and anxious but with no particular cause or reason. It's just sort of general. It happens for no particular reason. It's hard to really pinpoint where it's all coming from or what the cause is. And that would be more or less where the term generalized is coming from. Okay? And then we have other anxiety disorders that include panic disorders. And panic disorders, a lot of people these days are going through this where they suffer from anxiety attacks and panic attacks. I think there's a little bit of a difference between an anxiety attack and a panic attack. We can talk a little bit more about that. Um, and then, of course, there are phobias, when people are deathly afraid of a particular situation. One of the more common phobias these days is agoraphobia, which is something that is happening to people who, with a combination of panic disorder and anxiety disorder going on at the same time, they've developed over a series of several months or years agoraphobia, which is basically a fear of social situations. It can start off in situations where a person is afraid to give speeches in front of a group of people, or talking before a large body of people, and then it can grow into becoming afraid of people and social situations in general, not wanting to go to parties, not wanting to go to dances or weddings or any kind of social events, so they start staying away from them. Um, and then the people with this phobia will eventually get to the point where they become, of all social situations involving people, to the point where they don't even want to leave their house. It can get very serious. Even a trip to the grocery store can become a harrowing experience for them, and so they won't even be able to go out and get groceries for themselves, which starts to develop into some pretty serious problems. A lot of times these people don't have jobs, or if they have a job, it's a job where it doesn't involve a lot of interaction with people. Um, some people have been able to work a job where they are involved with people, but they're only able to function when they're at their job site. As soon as they leave the job site, all other interactions with people become terrifying to that person. Okay? So those are the three that I am finding most common in my practice. There are more, there are others, but those are the three that seem to pop up the most. Um, so let's get back to what exactly is anxiety, okay? Everybody, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this, it's important. Everybody suffers from a little bit of anxiety, sometimes every day. We worry about things, things go into our minds, and it's hard not to worry. We become afraid of things, um, have stomach aches or what have you. Your stomach can start to tingle or get upset. Some people might even get sick and feel like they want to vomit. Um, all of those things, excuse me, can be related to anxiety. Now, just because you have some of the symptoms, again, does not mean you have an anxiety disorder. When it comes to any disorder, like I said earlier, you have to be able to meet criteria. And let me just go over some of those criteria. I'm going to pull up the internet here, okay, and read to you, if I can find it, some of the criteria for an anxiety disorder. One moment.